Welcome back to the Real Bio Protocol. What if I told you that millions of men are taking a pill right now that could permanently destroy their hormones, their mental health, and their ability to function as a man, and the FDA knows about it, doctors prescribe it like candy, and there is an active effort to suppress the lawsuits piling up against the manufacturer? This is the Post-Finasteride syndrome cover-up, and by the end of this video you will understand exactly why they do not want you knowing this exists. Cold open, 3 years ago I stopped taking finasteride. 3 years. My blood work came back last month and my testosterone is still at chemical castration levels. My free testosterone is lower than an 80-year-old man. My DHT is basically undetectable. Doctors told me this was impossible. They told me the drug clears your system in days. They told me side effects were rare and always reversible. They lied. And I am not alone. There are thousands of us. Men in their 20s and 30s who took a simple hair loss pill and woke up one day feeling like someone had chemically removed their manhood. Depression so severe it leads to suicide. Sexual dysfunction so complete that relationships end. Cognitive fog so thick you cannot form sentences. This is not rare. This is not psychosomatic. This is post-finasteride syndrome. And the pharmaceutical industry has spent 2 decades pretending it does not exist while quietly settling lawsuits out of court with ironclad non-disclosure agreements. The science is finally catching up, and what it shows will make your blood boil. ACT1. The problem here is what mainstream medicine tells you about finasteride. They say it is one of the most studied drugs on the market. They say it blocks an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase which converts testosterone into DHT. Less DHT means less hair loss. Simple. They say side effects occur in maybe 2 to 3% of users, and they always resolve when you stop taking the drug. They hand you the prescription without a second thought. Dermatologists prescribe it. General practitioners prescribe it. Even some endocrinologists prescribe it without blinking. The standard line is that it is safer than aspirin. But here is what they do not tell you. 5-alpha reductase is not just sitting in your hair follicles. This enzyme is active in your brain, your liver, your prostate, your skin, and your nervous system. DHT is not just some waste product causing baldness. It is a critically important neurosteroid that regulates mood, cognition, and yes, sexual function. When you crush DHT production, you are not just saving hair. You are fundamentally altering brain chemistry in ways that science is only beginning to understand. The original clinical trials for finasteride were conducted by Merck in the 1990s. Those trials lasted 1 to 2 years at most. Nobody studied what happens when young men take this drug for 5, 10, or 15 years. Nobody studied what happens when they stop. The FDA approved it based on short-term data, and the pharmaceutical industry made billions while an entire generation of men became unwitting test subjects. When men started reporting persistent side effects after discontinuation, the medical establishment did what it always does. They blamed the patient. They said it was anxiety. They said it was nocebo effect. They said these men were hypochondriacs obsessing over normal aging. Meanwhile, the lawsuits started piling up and Merck has quietly paid out settlements in the hundreds of millions while refusing to admit wrongdoing and sealing the evidence behind confidentiality agreements. ACT2, the hidden truth. Let me hit you with some numbers the drug companies do not want you seeing. A landmark study from George Washington University found that among men who reported side effects while on finasteride, over 90% still had sexual dysfunction after stopping the drug. We are not talking about a few weeks of adjustment. We are talking about years of persistent symptoms. A 2019 study in the Journal of Steroid Biochemistry found that post-finasteride syndrome patients showed dramatically altered neurosteroid levels in their cerebrospinal fluid. Their brains had literally been rewired. The allopregnanolone levels were crashed. This is a neurosteroid critical for mood regulation and GABA receptor function. Low allopregnanolone is associated with severe depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. The Post-Finasteride Syndrome Foundation has documented over 10,000 cases. A 2015 study found that young men on finasteride had a significantly elevated risk of depression and suicidal thoughts compared to controls. Reuters published an investigation in 2019 revealing that Merck had received thousands of reports of persistent sexual dysfunction and did not adequately warn patients or doctors. In 2023, Italy became one of the first countries to officially recognize post-finasteride syndrome as a legitimate medical condition. The European Medicines Agency has updated warnings. Canada has updated warnings. And the FDA, they added a tiny mention about persistent sexual dysfunction in 2012, and called it a day while continuing to approve finasteride for men as young as 18. The science is clear. This drug does not always clear from your system in days like the pharmacokinetics suggest it should. Something happens at the genetic expression level, at the receptor level, at the neurosteroid synthesis level that can persist indefinitely, ACT3. The mechanism here is what is actually happening in your body when you take finasteride. The drug inhibits two isoforms of the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. This crashes your DHT levels by 60 to 70%, but DHT is a precursor or modulator for multiple downstream neurosteroids including allopregnanolone, THDOC, and androsterone. These neurosteroids are positive modulators of GABA receptors. Think of GABA as your brain's brake pedal. It calms neural activity, reduces anxiety, promotes sleep, and regulates mood. When you chronically suppress 5-alpha reductase, you are not just lowering DHT, you are depleting an entire family of calming neurosteroids in your brain. Your GABA system becomes dysregulated. Your brain starts compensating by downregulating GABA receptors. Now, when you stop the drug, your neurosteroid production should theoretically rebound. But for some men it does not. The receptors have changed. The enzyme expression has changed. Emerging research suggests possible epigenetic alterations, actual changes in how genes are expressed that can persist long after the drug is gone. Additionally, androgen receptors may become upregulated or hypersensitive during chronic DHT suppression. When levels return, the signaling is abnormal. Some researchers believe this creates a kind of hormonal chaos where the feedback loops that normally keep everything balanced are permanently disrupted. This is not speculation. Brain imaging studies on post-finasteride patients show altered connectivity in regions associated with sexual function and emotional regulation. Muscle biopsies show changes in androgen receptor density. This is measurable, documented biological damage. ACT4 real-world application. If you are currently taking finasteride, do not panic, but do take this seriously. Consider whether keeping your hair is worth the risk of permanent hormonal dysfunction. Talk to your doctor, but understand that most doctors have not read the recent literature. Do your own research. If you are experiencing side effects, document everything. Get comprehensive blood work including total testosterone, free testosterone, DHT, estradiol, prolactin, SHBG, and if possible neurosteroid panels. If you have already stopped and are dealing with persistent symptoms, know that you are not crazy and you are not alone. Connect with the post-finasteride syndrome community. Researchers at places like Baylor College of Medicine and universities in Italy are actively studying this condition. Some men have found partial relief through various interventions, but there is no proven cure yet. For those who never started, consider the alternatives. Minoxidil works through a completely different mechanism and does not touch your hormones. Low-level laser therapy has some evidence. Some peptides being studied for hair growth work locally without systemic hormone suppression. Accepting genetic baldness is also a valid choice when the alternative is gambling with your brain chemistry. ACT5, the bigger picture. This is bigger than one drug. This is about a medical system that prioritizes pharmaceutical profits over patient safety. This is about regulatory agencies captured by the industries they are supposed to regulate. This is about doctors who prescribe first and research never. There are class action lawsuits being prepared right now. There are men who have lost careers, relationships, and their will to live because a dermatologist told them this pill was safer than Tylenol. The information exists. The studies are published. The victims are speaking out. And yet the medical establishment continues to gaslight these men and protect the drug. Ask yourself who benefits from you not knowing this. Merck made over $500 million annually on finasteride at its peak. Pharmacies benefit. Doctors who never have to think critically about what they prescribe benefit. You do not benefit from ignorance. You benefit from the truth. The science is out there and now you have it. That is why we are here. This is the Real Bio Protocol. If you got value from this video, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe. It is completely free and it takes 2 seconds. We drop new content every single day, so hit that notification bell. See you in the next one. If you enjoyed this upload, do not forget to like and subscribe. Subscribing is completely free. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Tune in again for the next upload. This has been the Real Bio Protocol.